Good day, everyone. Couldn't figure out to say morning, afternoon, evening, or so I just said day. Hope all are well today. Thanks for joining me. As I said, I'm going to work real hard on doing this every Monday at 11 o'clock. Thanks for last week. We were headed out of town. We had a great time in Arizona. A big conference in Arizona, the 25th Prevent Child Abuse conference for Arizona. I got to tell you that Arizona is so far ahead of the eight ball when it comes to interacting with the state and with the community, with the faith-based communities, on both drug and alcohol issues, vaping, and abuse issues. They are so involved with the community. We had 550 people there on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I actually ran out of material. I wasn't expecting that many people, so it was very very good conference. Made a lot of connections, which is always good. More collaboration is better. Possible got a good connection for a really good podcast, which it looks like I'll be doing with him in September. More will be revealed on that as I get closer to that date, and I confirm the date for sure. But it'd be a good contact for also the foundation, what he does. So I'm looking forward to that. But Kathy was with me, and it was good she was with me, especially with 550 women. Well, not 550 women, 550 people. I would say 80% of them were women attendees at this conference. So she was able to connect a lot easier than I was in a lot of them. And I heard some pretty horrific stories as I usually do. So it just goes to prove that what I'm doing really needs to be done, because there's really nobody out there that is, especially when it comes to men, and I hear it over and over and over again, now that I'm expanding out of state, that there is nobody for doing what I'm doing for the men. They're out there for the women. And they're out there, and actually in Arizona, I'm really surprised. They are, I think it's called the Trunk Foundation. I apologize if I got that wrong. I should have. I got their information somewhere. They do a lot of tremendous and really good work with children when it comes to abuse. So it's just amazing what the state is doing over in Arizona. So it's only a short drive for me to go over there as well. So that's another nice feature of going to Arizona. So it's good to expand my horizons, as it would be. So, but this week I will continue. We'll close out chapter 2, reparenting. We're going to talk about interacting with your inner child today, as I promised last week. I hope you got a lot out of that chart I did last week, and actually I developed it even further during the course of the week, and I might slip that in there one day. How we get to the point of the chart I showed you is actually a main root ball that we have to get to first. And all the things I showed you last week were the trailer roots off the main root ball. So that's why it takes so long. So anyways, we'll get right into it, because it might take a little longer than I anticipated today. I hope not. I try to keep these things short, but it just never fails. That doesn't work out that way. So how do we get in touch with this inner child? And I know for a lot of you that it could seem like out there in space, new wave stuff, or whatever you want to say. In fact, I didn't tell my therapist this, but I thought she had lost a few screws in her head, and she ought to get back all the money that she paid for her master's classes when it comes to this inner parenting stuff. But the deal of it is that it's real, and it's the reparenting process is an internal one that only you yourself can go through. But that being said, okay, getting help along the way is actually beneficial as well. A lot of times we have to have a temporary positive reparenting experience with other people, and that those other people could be therapists or spiritual mentors or coaches, but unless that other person knows what's going on and how to direct the process, the relationship will end up unhealthy. And you'll likely end up having an unhealthy dependency on that, with that therapist or with that coach or with that mentor, because you're relying on them to validate you all the time. And the whole process here is being able to validate yourself. But feeling like you're heard, and being truly validated by another person can show us what it feels like to matter in this fundamental way. Okay, and that's what I needed, because nobody had ever validated me. And like I said, when I went into treatment in 2006, both my therapist and my counselor in treatment and those around me in treatment, they all started validating who I was as a human being, explaining to me that what happened to me was wrong. It's not who I was, and that those feelings that I've been told all my life that were wrong and I shouldn't talk about, they actually validated those feelings and they allowed me to talk. So that made me able to begin this healing journey, to have people really believe in me, that I was worth making the effort to make a better person. So it's really important that we find somebody to work with on this journey. The Big Book says it, and I was looking for it today again because I read it in the Bible too. The Big Book says we cannot transmit something we haven't got. And in the Bible, I just was reading, I think it was in 1st or 2nd Corinthians. And I'm starting to make some notes in a different notebook of all this stuff. But it says something along the same terms. If you haven't gone through the process of healing, you can't help people process the feelings of healing. So it's really important that you get with somebody that knows how to do this, somebody that has even gone through it and walked through it and can understand it with you. I can tell you that all the people that my wife and I mentor, they will attest to this simple fact. That's why people relate to us so much and why they connect with us so much, because we've walked in their shoes. We're not them, but we've experienced a lot of the same things that they've walked through and what they've gone through, and more importantly, how it heals them. What works for us doesn't necessarily work for everybody else, but they take what we give them and they can learn from it. So it's important. It's always important whenever we're working with somebody in the healing field that they at least have empathy and they've walked in our shoes somewhat and they've done their own healing work. A lot of people haven't done their own healing work. They might have done surface level healing work, but they haven't done the deep inner healing work that really needs to be done. Okay, so just be careful of that. The problem is that, like I say, if being truly validated by another person can show us, and it does show us. It showed me what it feels like to be in a matter, and it feels like to matter in this fundamental way. You know, I had a situation this week in Arizona, so I called my spiritual mentor and pastor, and I'll tell you, I told my wife when I got off the phone with him, I said, you know, I've never been validated and affirmed in the way I was just affirmed by my pastor and by my mentor. It meant the world to me because I needed some affirmation and I was going through a lot and my cup was empty. And when I went to him, he knew exactly what to tell me. And it really, because I'm willing to accept and have an open mind, because I'm willing to accept that validation from other people. Because I'm a human being, we all need it. But at 14 years ago, I couldn't accept it. Because if you were validating or affirming me, you must have wanted something from me, okay? So again, but if I was to anchor all those feelings, you know, in my mentor and pastor, and if something was to happen to us down the line, if everything I needed just came from one person, and down the line, as we grow, we separate from these mentors and coaches, we might go to another one. It can feel like abandonment. It can lead to a sense of abandonment. Well, man, so this guy had everything I needed. He told me all the time exactly what I needed to hear. Well, I got a lot of people that can validate me today. All right. And he just happens to be one. He's the newest one in my life. He's at the next level that I need. My wife validates me. I have my good friend Eddie Fisher. He validates me. I got a lot of people that validate and affirm me. So it's just not one person. But my wife can't always affirm or validate me in the way that my pastor can or the way that Eddie can. So if I was only attached to one of those and that person was to leave me, I feel like there I am, another person abandoned me. And I've had abandonment issues all my life. So we got to be really careful when we're doing this inner child work to protect that inner child, because we did it when we were younger, but we did it in a healthy way. So now we're going to do it in a healthy way. We have to be able to learn to accept that validation and affirmation from others. Okay, it's important, right? But we also have to learn, okay, to do that within ourselves. We get it from outside sources, then we start getting it, we start really believing it's coming from God, okay? So we've got those two components down, but we have to get to a point where we can start affirming ourselves, okay? We can start affirming ourselves. People are going to come and people are going to go, okay? It's important to have a therapist or a coach or a mentor, because a lot of times what they can offer is some safe professional connection with another person that can truly validate and support you along this. It takes a while. This is not a quick fix. This is not a push a button fix. This is not take a pill and it's going to go away. This takes a while. You know, how long were you told, or how long did the tapes play in your head that you're nothing? You'll never amount to nothing. You're stupid. You're an idiot. Look at you. There you go. You made another mistake. We have to redo all those tapes. So it takes time. It takes a loving, kind, patient, supportive coach, therapist, or mentor, and sometimes several of them to work through this process. But it all starts when we start working with our inner child, because that's when we're going to start validating. For the sexual abuse survivors, the therapeutic parenting aspect is one of the most unique benefits, effective benefits of having a coach, a mentor, or a therapist. So that therapeutic coach was somebody that's been in your, that therapeutic experience was somebody that's been in your shoes, that can be patient with you and gentle with you, loving with you, and understand when, hey, I don't want to go no farther today. This is getting really hard. Okay, all right, I respect that boundary. Okay, but that's what it's going to take. They're there to help you. A lot of us never had that in our lives. We never had that loving, kind, compassionate parent or mentor. Okay, and we have to get real with ourselves. We have to be truthful with ourselves. This is our truth. It's nobody else's truth. Okay. So we'll make sure I'm still going. You know, what happens is when we're truly validated by another, and that person shows us then how to validate ourselves. So as we're being validated and affirmed by other people along the way, they're actually, in reality, they're teaching us how to do it to ourselves. If we listen to what they're saying, if we listen to the words they're saying, if we can feel the emotions that they're showing us. Okay, because a lot of things is words, but words without actions, like faith without actions is dead. Words without action is dead. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but how are you doing it? If you're not doing it, why are you talking to me? Because you're not living it. I want to see the action. I want to see somebody else who's doing it and can magnify what their actions, what their words are doing through actions. That's the important part. Because we can read a lot of books. We can do a whole lot of things. We read a lot of books. Okay, we can listen to a lot of people. We can go to a lot of workshops. We can do all that and have a head full of knowledge. But are we applying it? That's the important part, to have a coach, a mentor, or a therapist that's going to show us how to apply that in our lives, okay? Another good thing about having a good coach or mentor or therapist is they don't require anything out of their clients except that you just be you, okay? Unconditional acceptance offers the experience of being fine just as you are. It's just, you're right there. We don't want to change you. We're helping you grow. We want you to see different things. There's no expectations. We're just trying to help you. Okay, so we're going to accept you where you're at. It's unconditional acceptance. Okay, unconditional acceptance offers the first experience of being fine, just who you are. You need to understand that. And if a coach or a therapist or mentor is showing you anything but that, I would suggest you start looking elsewhere. You don't need to be told what to do. You've been told what to do all your life, okay? And a lot of us really know what it is we need to do, but like again, when I go back to it, faith without action is dead. So words without action is dead. We need to be shown more than we need to be told. So one way to reparent is through journaling, okay? And I got to tell you, Kathy and I, when we work with people, are you journaling? A lot of people aren't. Well, and then they go get the journal, but they're still not journaling. It didn't come naturally to me either, okay? It did not come naturally to me, but when I started doing it, my accountability partners in AA, I would go to them. I can remember it specifically. I was going to them about a specific thing. And how you doing today, Randy? I would tell them, they go, Randy, just journal. Journal every night. Get up and journal. Journal in the morning. Okay, I got it. I'll do it. And for about a week, and I can remember I went up to him one day. How you doing today, Randy? And it was the same thing. And they didn't say a word. He just looked at me and took an air pen and started scribbling, right? It's okay. I got it. So I started journaling, and it changed my recovery. I was able to get all this stuff out of my head onto a piece of paper, okay? Because my default button was I was always self-condemning myself, okay? I didn't know how to stop hating myself. I was brutal to myself. I would beat myself up all the time. And so as I got up and I started journaling, sometimes I'd get up as early as 3 o'clock in the morning. If I was awake, if I woke up, then I was going to get up and journal. It was important for me to do that, and it changed my life. I mean, I got on my bookshelf over here, I probably got 5 or 6 full journals full of stuff that I've written. Okay. But I can remember that first experience of seeing my inner child and realizing how small and vulnerable he was, and went a long, long way towards curbing my self-abuse. And that actually took place. That actually took place in my therapist's office when she sat me down and says, "Okay, V, I want you to have an open mind, and we're going to do something." I thought she was nuts, but I said, "I have an open mind. I told you I'd do anything." And that's when I saw my inner child for the first time in a deep meditation she walked me through. And that little child was scared to death, absolutely scared to death. And he'd peep his head out behind the door. I could see him visually peeping his head out behind the door and asking me the questions. Are you sure it's safe to come out? Because people you trusted in the past have hurt you really bad. And so I had to walk this inner child out from behind the darkness, out into the light. And it took time. It was the first time he just peeped his head out, but he would always go back. So through all this, I still had to learn how to communicate effectively with that inner child on a regular basis. Or if I didn't, I was just going to fall back into my old patterns. Because all my life I'd been protecting that inner child the best that I could. And when that inner child wasn't getting his way in life, he would override the adult Randy and act like, and my behaviors were that of a spoiled 12-year-old child, even at the age of 40, 50 years old. Okay. And again, I'm going to say the most effective and direct communication process that I've used and still do use was the journaling part. Whether you journal with your inner child or you just journal, period, it will reveal a lot about yourself. If you sit down with a pen and paper in your journal and just journal, don't edit what's coming from your head. Go from your head, and do not use a computer. Go from your head, down your arm, through your pencil to a piece of paper with no editing. You'll be surprised at what will be revealed to you on those journaling sessions. I promise you, if you have an open mind. I can remember a lot of times no words would come to me, right? So in that case, what I would always do is I'd draw a small picture of how God looked to me on that day, right? I'd draw him up there, and what did God look like to me? I put him in the corner, one corner of my journal, and then I would draw one of my inner child, okay? And I would put him on the other side. And how was my inner child feeling that day? Was he sad? Was he happy? Was he contemplative? It was tremendous help for me to do all this, right? And then I would invite both God and my inner child to journal with me. I'd invite them both in there, okay? And the inner child was just like a stick figure child, Hey, Joe. Glad to see you join me. I'm having a problem seeing who's all on here today. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know whoever's on here, if they are. Looks like I have 5 event logons. Looks that way. I can't see who's logging on. So whoever it is, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, let me get back here. Yeah, that's and it was just a stick figure, and it was really cool. It was, I mean, I had fun doing it, and I was really able to start writing and dig into that inner child. So God would always be at the top left of my journal entry, and little Randy would always be at the right. That was a habit I would do. And then getting to know that inner child was a big part of the new understanding of myself. And I can remember having some very in-depth conversations with that inner child that really woke me up. And I'll explain one here in a minute. I got to say, even though I was scared to start the dialogue, and why was I scared? Because I feared I'd be overwhelmed by painful emotions and feelings, and memories. But I found that instead of being overwhelmed, I was actually able to be gentle and compassionate toward my own story for the first time. I was actually able to I wasn't overwhelmed. Emotions were there. Absolutely, they were there. I can remember crying a lot, but I was actually able and learn how to be gentle and compassionate toward my own story for the first time in my life. I reacted to my inner child much as I would have to a real child who is in my care and hurting. So, as adults, most of us, we see a child that's hurting. How do we react to them? How do we treat these children that aren't ours, that are ours, and they're hurting? How do we treat them? We treat them with love, compassion, kindness, and caring. I don't know about all you, but that's how I do. And I always validate these little children. I have fun with them. If I can do that with others, why can't I do it with myself? And that's the other part of working with your inner child. And through this whole non-dominant handwriting process, I was able to, or journaling, and then go into non-dominating. I was able to interact with my child much as I would have those other children. Okay, and I found that I was able to listen to his feelings and memories with a very small but profound distance. Instead of crying for myself as a victim, instead of crying for myself, poor me, everybody's mean to me, nobody loves me, everybody picks on me, they're all jerks, they lie to me. Instead, I was able to cry for the boy who had been victimized. I was able to cry for that little child inside of me, that hurt boy that was so scared all his life, even into his adulthood, even until I got to this point, was scared to death. Through the healing process, I began understanding that I had been hurt as a boy. See, we're carrying our pain from our childhood into our adulthood, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't even want to look at it. It happened a long time ago. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Well, contraire, my friends, there is. There had been abuse, except for in decades since then, right? So the abuse happened when I was a kid. There had been no abuse. I had been abused since the age of 18, 19. The only abuse was what I had inflicted on myself for the past 30 some years. I was inflicting my own abuse because of the thoughts that were in my head. I didn't know how to get out of it. I was beating that little kid up constantly. No wonder he was hiding. He didn't want to come out. He was scared to death of me. I began to feel the difference between letting the past truly be the past and holding on to it so closely that my whole identity was shaped by the worst moments of my life. My identity was shaped, and I was all those worst moments of my life. I was the victim. I was the abuse. I was worthless. I was dirty. I was tainted. I believed that with my whole body. I still had to deal with psychological wounds and trauma of my past, however, but I was starting to see how they no longer had to define me. So let's go to non-dominant handwriting. We're going to go a little bit long today. It's okay. This needs to be out there. You can watch it on YouTube as well if you're not watching it here today. I'll put it on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow. So my experience with journaling became more profound after I was introduced to non-dominant handwriting. Okay, and John Bradshaw is a godfather of inner child work and this non-dominant stuff, and it's really powerful stuff. According to him, writing with a non-dominant hand, or your left hand if you're right-handed, and your right hand if you're left-handed, calls on the non-dominant side of your brain by bypassing the more controlling side. So our controlling side, I'm right-handed, so the dominant side of my brain is the controlling side, the right hand, and the left side is a non-controlling side. So it makes it easier to get in touch with feelings of your inner child. And believe me, this works in a way I can't explain. And everybody that's gone through it, that I've talked to, that I've had go through it, just a simple beginning stages, it's been profoundly eye-opening to them. When Deborah mentioned this to me, I thought it sounded ridiculous, but I told her I'd be open-minded, so I was willing to do the inner child meditation. And I got to tell you that it did pay off some amazing dividends. So in my 7-day challenge workbook, I give instructions on how to do the non-dominant hand exercise. So you can get that book on Amazon. I think it's $7.95 or $8.95, right? But first, remember you're dealing with a hurt and traumatized little child. Okay, whether you realize it or not, you are. So you be your best self when you start this interaction. So don't go into it when you're all pissed off, and make sure that you can calm yourself down, sit in a quiet room by yourself with a pad and paper or pencil. Do not do it on a computer. You just sit and connect with God, connect with your higher power. To me, it's God. Connect with God. Turn your editor off and just let this stuff flow, okay? You must be willing to meet your inner child and genuinely want to know him. So this is, if you're just, I'm going to do it because Randy said to try it. No. Then don't do it. You got to genuinely want to know this inner child and meet him. You got to really want to do this work or it won't work. It's kind of like being hypnotized. If you don't want to be hypnotized, it ain't going to work. Okay, and it's just a power of suggestion when you're hypnotized, but if you allow it to work, it works. So it's the same with this. And the inner child is real. There's been proof that it is real. Okay, it's not some ghost, it's not some demon, it's none of that. This is you, this is real. Okay. The main thing is, be prepared to ask lots of questions, okay? Because him or her just won't talk to you. So you're gonna ask a lot of questions. Ask him in the way you would if meeting a child for the first time, and give him or her a chance to answer. Don't be in a hurry. You cannot be in a hurry when you do this. I can't explain that enough. You got to sit down and just chill and relax. Because what's going to happen is, well, first of all, I'll get that in a minute. So here are some questions for the first meeting, okay? So again, and I posted them online here today on Facebook, okay? So here's what you can do. The first time you sit down with your non-dominant hand, you're going to sit down with a pad of paper on your desk. You want to put one pencil on your dominant side, one pencil on your non-dominant side, okay? Pick up the dominant side pencil and start asking questions. And questions could be, hi, what's your name? And put your dominant pencil down, pick up your non-dominant pencil, and look at, man, it's going to go slow and it's going to look like scribble, but he'll talk to you. And don't think it's ridiculous. Him or her will talk to you. Don't think it's ridiculous. Don't edit it. Just let it flow and let him or her tell you their name. You might know it because it's your inner child, but let them tell you. Don't take that. Do not take their voice from them. Their voice was taken from them at a young age, okay? Another question you could ask is, how old are you? Another one is, what's your favorite color? What do you like to do? How do you feel? How do you feel today? Are you happy, mad, angry, sad, scared, or lonely? Okay. Do you want to play? What do you need? And what's your favorite thing to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you know? What do you know that I love you? Okay. These are simple questions, and they could all take up a whole page of answers. You've got to let your inner child have his voice. I can remember one specific time. This really was profound to me. I was writing, I sat down, I was not in the best mood to be sitting down. I was kind of in a rush, but I sat down and had written a question. I can't remember what it was. And then my inner child was answering it. And I started to take the pencil back from my inner child because I was getting frustrated because he was writing too slow. And he said, no, there you go. This is why I don't like talking. You never let me finish what I want to say. You never let me finish anything when we start. You get frustrated and you quit. You can't, I don't want to play. I don't want to talk with you because you don't let me say what I want to say. Don't let me finish what I want to do. And he was so on point because as an adult, if I'm a type of guy, I play the classical guitar. And when I get frustrated because I'm not picking it up like that, I just assume quit and give up. That's the truth that came out in this writing. He was right. I'd done that all my life. So you have to be patient and willing and open-minded. I know it sounds, like I say, new wave stuff and new world or whatever, but I promise you, if you're willing and open-minded and want to do this, it will work. So paper, non-dominant hand pencil, dominant hand pencil. Ask the question with your dominant hand, let the non-dominant hand answer. Do not edit, do not fight it, just let it flow, let it go. You'll be amazed at what will happen, okay? So I'm going to end with this today. It's a quote by Lynn Hasselberger. Our inner child is still in there somewhere, aching to be let loose from all the layers we've piled on over the years. Why not break him or her out for the day or even for a moment? The first time it might be just a 1 or 2 sentence thing. It might just be a moment. But if you keep doing it, eventually it will be pages. It'll be a page or pages, okay? I know this is hard work. I know this sounds, like I said, I'm going to say it again. It sounds out there. It sounded out there to me. But it's work for myself and it's work for millions of people around the world. John Bradshaw was a world-renowned therapist with a specialty in inner child work and shame. He was the godfather of it. His work is phenomenal. So that's it on the chapter 2, reparenting. Next week we're going to get into trauma triggers, chapter 3. In the meantime, visit my website, courageoushealers.org, courageoushealers.org. I post weekly blogs on there as well. This video will be up on there probably tomorrow. So you can check that out. If you're interested in life coaching, please contact me. I'm really, really working on getting this business off the ground. It goes hand in hand with therapy. In fact, if you're in therapy, it will enhance your therapy work because the way I look at it, I had therapy 7 years, twice a week. So I had therapy, which helped me with all this inner stuff, my abuse and so on and so forth, okay, inner healing part. But then I had my mentors and coaches in AA and in real life. So it was a combination of everything because my therapist helped me with the mental issues. My mentors and coaches helped me with life issues, okay, and human issues. So the way I look at it is I personally do a lot of inner healing work with people slowly. And then we deal with the life issues, take you from where you think you are to where God really wants you to be in life. We'll show you a new path. It's a one-on-one type thing. You have the answers inside yourself. You have the answers inside yourself. So as a coach, I just explore those with you. I like to listen curiously. I get real curious when you're talking and ask a lot of curious questions. We've counseled probably a dozen, and just in the last year, we started doing couples counseling, and we've seen a lot of couples save their marriages and save their relationships and save themselves through our coaching, my wife and my coaching. And then one-on-one, I've worked with a lot of men in addiction and also with the abuse situations. I've seen them turn their lives around. So visit my life coaching website, changeyourlifestorynow.com, changeyourlifestorynow.com. If you go to the website, Courageous Healers website, you can click on the link to go over to that website as well. And you can look at some of the packages we got, find out more about my life coaching. You can see some of the testimonies that we have on there as well. Also, my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, Healing the Wounded Child Within, is available on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. It's in paperback. It's in Kindle, and also available now on Audible. If you're interested in an Audible book, those of you that know me or don't know me, if you're interested in one and you want a free copy of it, instant message me. Don't do it on Facebook. You can text me, or if you know my phone number, you can text me or email me, or instant message me. I'll give you the conditions that you get that book on, and I'll give you the free code to get that book for free. That Audible book for free. Okay. Also, we have our golf tournament coming up September 21st at Talkowitz Creek. It's a fundraiser for the Courageous Healers Foundation. You can go to the website. There's a page on there where you can sign up. It's also on Eventbrite. You can click on Eventbrite. I'll probably post some more posting this week about it. We're also looking for whole sponsors. So if anybody out there wants to be a corporate sponsor and wants to sponsor a whole, please instant message me or call me or text me if you know those numbers. As well, we're having a planning meeting. So any of my local friends that know me, if you want to be part of this planning thing, we'd love to have you over here. It's just the second one. So we're trying to make this as successful, actually more successful as our first two spaghetti dinners were. So we want to make this an annual thing. So you're more than welcome. Instant message me and I'll give you the address or phone and my phone number if you want to talk to me. If you want to attend there tonight, okay? So that's about it. You all have a wonderful, wonderful week this week. If you're in the desert, try to stay cool. It's hot, humid, and miserable right now. It's not even fun to be outside, but at least we're alive and we can feel the heat and the humidity, okay? Remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does, but more importantly, God does. Everybody be blessed, and thanks for being part of this journey. I really, really appreciate all of you. And again, I can't see who joined today. I know there's people on there. I don't know what's going on, why it's doing what it's doing. So thanks for joining me, those that did join me today, okay? Have a blessed week. Love you all. Bye.